All right. Hey guys, I thought I'd just do a walkthrough of what I'm working on here because it would maybe be a little bit more apparent, like the utility and the function of what I'm going for. Just showing you as opposed to writing a long explanation, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to yoink this down here. There we go. All right, and then pop in here. All right, so right now we have this as a standalone app, superpowerpointer.com. Developing it standalone, and then the objective is to fold it into my Marshall software. So it's just the functionality here is available in the main app. Okay, uh, but right now it is its own web app. And let's see here. We got things that I was working on last week is like the admin page, the back end, a lot of um, sort of automation stuff that goes on to automatically pull certain information out of one thing, put it into another. If I mean, you guys can go to this if you want to, superpowerpointer.com. Up here in the top right hand corner, you'll have like a account creation and login. This isn't really for security as much as it is for segmenting your files away from everybody else's. So if you just want to see your stuff, you can see your stuff. And then if you want to see the broader base, like say, Felipe did a automotive presentation in North Carolina that you want to see, you can, come up here and show all users files. But most of the time, I would assume that you just want to see your own thing. So you can create an account up there. Email address, just your email address, password, something that you'll remember. It's simple. Like I said, it's not for security, so it doesn't have to be like some complex password. You can use Marshall, you can use password. I don't just try to remember it. I'm sure I can, I can find that information if you lose it. I don't think I've done like a, uh, reset password or forgot my password type of thing yet, but I can do that in the future. But anyway, we'll look at the admin first, just because some of what I've done, it's the foundation for building onto other things. So I'm going to click on the admin page here. I only have one market in here right now that I'm working with. It's Syracuse 2024. I click manage assets here. Oh, if I go back there, you can add markets, whatever. When this folds into the main app, basically all of this I intend to have happen automatically because there's no reason to do it manually. But while it's kind of off on an island, I'm going to manually populate this with um, databases and the templates and stuff like that. But simple assets, client logos, I don't even know if I necessarily need this because we can get this out of the PowerPoint presentations that you upload or uh, from the slide master, the templates, or you can get them from wherever. But I have a place for it. I can put them up here. The database XML. This is if you go in, let's see, my Marshall software. I'm not going to do it, but you can go to like actually, I can go to admin, survey admin. We're going to select one of these and you can export the database as an XML file. Um, that goes into here. Once it gets uploaded, what happens is we parse out essentially the database schema, so to speak, and put it into a JSON file. And then we can use that for a lot of things going forward. That happens automatically. It's surprisingly fast. As big as much data is in those XML files, it happens real quick. Um, into a MySQL database, and then we can do some pattern matching stuff that we need to talk about in a moment. And then PowerPoint templates, put those in here. And those, when those go in, automatically, what happens is all the information about the template, the slide master, the layouts that go in there, the geometry, the attributes that go into all the elements on the layouts, those get pulled off into what are called an IR, the internal representation. It's a JSON file that is basically just a text description, not necessarily I mean, it is human readable, but it's not like you wouldn't sit there and like read an IR for Syracuse wide Maine. But it is a description that says where everything goes in that template. So that's useful. Uh-oh. I don't know what that thing was. I guess I was gesticulating too much and something came up. It was like, hey, do you want to draw attention to something else? I don't. All right. So I do this manually. I just go in, add a new market, put these things in there, and then they become useful in future contexts. Um, my goal, I think this week, I'm going to seed this with like 3 to 5 additional markets. Eventually, I would assume that I would have like every market for the past 3 years in here because that's a good start. Um, but then, like I said, once this folds into my Marshall software, a database is ready to be delivered to the client. It gets marked in uh, MMS, and then it'll automatically pull all this stuff in there, so you don't have to actually be aware of it. All right, so we're going to go back to main here. So the on the label functionality, like the main draw, I guess, is that you have your PowerPoint presentations that come out of my Marshall software, and they are good. You know what I mean? They have the data presented the way that you want it, but they all have kind of a dated aesthetic, I guess. I think they look great, but if you want variation. You don't really have that. So, and Rich told me that a lot of, I don't know if a lot, but some clients are using that Futori company that uses AI to punch up the PowerPoint presentations. And they do, I mean, they look good, they look clean, they look modern, but the AI is also manipulating the data. So it's taking some random cell off of a table and making that like front and center, like it's something important. And the example that he gave me was like Upper Peninsula, Michigan. 90% of the market said figure skating was their favorite sport, which is nonsense. It's not. So rather than leave the integrity of our data up to some algorithm or LLM that's just making a PowerPoint presentation look better, that we can do different themes, different aesthetic profiles, so that if you want the same data, the same integrity, data integrity, accuracy, what's on the slide in the re-themed version, we can do that. So here I have, I came up with 8 theme profiles. These will definitely change because there's some overlap, and I had brand emphasis blue versus brand emphasis orange. I think we can get rid of the blue one because blue is a very common color across these themes, and maybe do like an avant-garde or something like that, where we do some more experimental things on the design front. But this is where I'll need like some input from you guys, like what you if there are elements of presentations that you've seen elsewhere that you really like and that you would like to have in your presentations, if there is some component of the MMS generated presentations that you don't like, that you would like to be able to bypass or reconcile with a new design aesthetic, we'll see. I'll look for uh, advice and consultation on those things. But what these themes basically are is each one, and the only one that I have right now, and it's certainly not complete. It's just to a point where I can show you, hey, look, here's the input file and here's the output file. The output is remarkably different from the input, therefore the process works. The only one that I have is executive clean. And what I've done with this is I've essentially written like a description of what that theme is supposed to be. And it's like, modern, minimal, data centric, like take the actual data and put it in the center. Not a lot of colorful flourish or superfluous imagery. You know what I mean? Just keep it simple. Make the data front and center. So that's what I've done to develop that particular one. All right. Now, the reason that I showed you the admin page with the database XML stuff like that is that when we uh, choose a presentation to stick in here. So like you create a presentation in my Marshall software and you get it and you're like, let's see what it looks like in other themes. We'll drop one in here. It's going to take a moment to process this file. What it's doing right now is it's parsing out all of the data that's inherent in each slide in the file. Um, Not just like the stuff that you see, but I mean, like the geometry of the file, the attributes of the chart, what the colors of the bars are, what the style of the bars are, where the chart appears on the slide, how big the slide is. I think the slides are what, 13 and a third by 7.5, like 16 by 9. So you have like your chart geometry, the element geometry, the actual content of the text boxes, the tables, all that stuff. Like basically anything that is in that presentation is pulled out into the internal representation for that presentation. And then what it does is matches the presentation to a database. So by having those, we have a predictable format since the presentations are produced by software. It's not like you're sitting down with a blank PPTX file and building it out. It is predictable in terms of like question stub, question text, answer text, even specific things like geographies, like counties. Basically, this NBC3 furniture presentation um, cannot have come from Pittsburgh 2021, right? So it's fingerprinting the presentation and matching it to a database. And that's what we have right here, where it says match database confidence 25. What it is just doing a point system. Matching the database, I have a lower threshold because it's just like once you if you have a question that excludes a database, like, oh, this cannot have matched to this database because this information is not in that database, you need a lower threshold. You're just matching it to a market and then to the year in the market. So that's fine. Over on this side, what we're doing is matching to the layout. So we had five, or template, I'm sorry. We had five templates in that market, and like those templates, this Syracuse wide main um, has a slide master and I think 36 layouts, and this presentation has 40 slides. So not all of the layouts were used in the presentation, but all of the slides in the presentation came from that template. Like it couldn't have come from the portrait one sheet or the horizontal, whatever, I don't know what their names are, because there would be slides that don't match that template file. So basically that little bit of processing there is the content of the presentation, matching it to the database, to the layout. Now we have the full context of what we're doing. And then when we retheme this, just to make it look different, um, we can be sure that we're not changing any data because all we're doing is rewriting the attributes for how it appears. Okay. And then when this is like done, I mean, you could select all of it. You could be like, I want to see every variation of every presentation that I make, and then pick whichever one looks good or whatever. And then we have some other things we can do with that. But anyway, so over here in your user library, we have all this stuff. And this, I got test files in here and everything. So this is the file that we uploaded. It produces that IR, JSON file. I'm going to be using the JSON files for a lot of things down the road. I don't know if I need to put them in here. I don't know if you'll ever have to select a JSON file to do something. They're in there because they might need to be in there. You have these filter buttons up here. You can filter by PowerPoint. So now you only have PPTX files. Excel, now we only have Excel files, PDFs, JSON, show all. You can hit all users. I only have mine in here right now, so that's not going to change. But if you don't just want to see your stuff, you want to see everybody's, click that. The search is just a real quick like reduction filter. So let me think, what do we got? Let's do um, uh, football. So as soon as I start typing, anything that doesn't match the string just filters out. So it's real quick. So if it's something like you're looking for, like, oh my God, I did a Raymore and Flanagan presentation in 2022. I don't know if we'll have, obviously we're not going to have 22 presentations in here, but like I did a Raymore and Flanagan presentation. So you just start typing Raymore. You might have, 300 files in there. Comes right down to the handful that are for Raymore and Flanagan. All right. So anyway, here we go. Also, just because there's very little computational overhead, I am immediately generating a PDF from the PowerPoint file. I know that in PowerPoint you can just go file, export, PDF, whatever. Um, it's less for you to have a PDF of your presentation and more for there are certain circumstances where if you need the text of something, it's easier to parse it out of a PDF if the PDF was constructed in such a way that it's like embedded text as opposed to just like a picture of the document. But again, I don't know if you'll need that or not. Just because it happens very quickly, I put it in there. So anyway, so we have this presentation. I'm going to select the executive clean theme and we'll generate that. And this is actually remarkably quick. It's done. It pops in here. We have 2026 NBC3, yada, yada, yada. And then it appends the file name with the name of the theme. We'll download that and open it. All right, now look here. This is our input file. I pop it up big. This is this is what we uploaded, and it's pretty standard. Marshall marketing presentation looks the way it does. Now, also look like this slide. This line is here, so it's going to appear in the rethemed version too. It's not a mistake. It's like it was in the original, so it's in that one. I don't know if it's necessary. Maybe it means something. Maybe it's just an errant line. But this is basically what our presentations look like. And then let me pop this over onto the side and pop it up, pop this one up on this side. And then this is the rethemed with the executive clean. And what I did with executive clean is things like the aesthetic choices, bar charts, flat, as opposed to this three-dimensional bevel, just a flat bar chart. The font, I believe the font might be different. I'm using the Calibri family of fonts, like it's a sans serif, kind of like in the Helvetica Arial typeface family. Did like a soft gray background with a gradient emanating out from the center. This creates a little bit of like a tunnel vision thing where the eye is drawn to the center of the slide. The color palette goes from navy blue down to essentially white with like grays in between. So you have like that whole spectrum of blue to white with gray on the color palette. Let's see what else. One of the rules. So this is basically a set of rules. Like when you evaluate a slide, run through all these rules to reconstruct the slide. One is like removing images that are not part of the data, right? So like this has like clip art in here. We pull that out, and if we remove an image from that slide, then we resize the chart automatically to fill that space. So we don't want like a big empty space over here. So we just rewrite the geometry to fill the slide. Also centering. So like by removing this don't know clip art, we resize the chart and center it on the horizontal and vertical axis. We do the same thing with text boxes, with tables, stuff like that. Now, in some cases, you might be like, well, it actually looks better. Like this one without this big thing in the middle, it essentially is just text on the slide. One thing that we preserve is like the built-in animation. So if I jump to this one and go to, I don't even know how, let's see, slideshow, play from current slide. If we jump through this one, boom, we have this same animation built in that the parent document did. Like I haven't done anything with animations or timings or anything like that. But when we write those rules for rewriting the slides, I have things in here like, for example, just a design choice when one of your like series is men, women, male, female, to default to the men with this shade of blue and the women in pink might be a little trad, but it is universally understood. And also that's how it was in the parent. It probably won't be that way in all of them, but like for this for this template is like whenever you have male female, like here's a consistent color differentiator. Also, when you have a highlight color, green, yellow, orange, red, like these bright colors, if it is the last data point in a series, then we preserve that because it draws attention to that one, especially when you have trended data. I'll show you actually I'll just show it to you right now. So like for this one, we follow the color palette for the theme, but then this last, the 2025 bar is gold to show, we're showing, over a period of time, with the gold one as being, obviously like the conclusion of whatever narrative you're going for there. But back to this one, when you have a highlight color that is um, uh, encompassing multiple data points in a series, then we preserve that because the inference is that the original user wanted to group those. So like obviously in this one we have male female as blue and pink. The red in here for the age groups is just a different color from the other ones. Now, I'm not sure if I'm thrilled with going from like light navy to dark navy, but whatever. It's still, it visually sets itself off enough. But then the income ranges under 50, 50 to 100, 100K plus were green on the parent. We preserve that on this one because there is a connotation between green and income, and the fact that it essentially groups this as a separate type of data, right? We go from gender to age ranges to income ranges, and we have them all clustered together. Okay. Let's see. Data tables. Um, just format them pretty consistently with a common header color, font color, all that kind of stuff. I said about the highlight point at the end of a range. We do that. Da, 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 da. Now here's one where it's all male female. So it's just, I mean, I don't know if I like that shade of pink, but it gets the point across. And again, I'm just doing. The first draft of a theme is to show, hey, look, this is different coming out than what it was going in. And where did we have that? Was that this one? Yeah. I don't know. I think it's better than orange and red, but what do I know? Even things like this one kind of complex. Um, so here was the parent slide, just sort of like a stock photo that was removed, and then this was all centered, like the question text, and then the chart. But the chart is here with this like overlay, kind of a semi-opaque text box that just cuts through the bars to give you the average. I mean, it's a nice visual effect, and we're able to preserve that by moving, because we do a Z index for all the elements, so you know how things are stacked. So I know that this is on top over here. So when we move everything over to the center and do our restyling and everything, we can preserve that, and I think it looks great. It's a good design choice. Now, let's get out of the actual PowerPoints because we there's not so much we can talk. We're not going. This isn't a PowerPoint presentation. It isn't a presentation about PowerPoint presentations. All right, so that's that. An additional point, like of ease of use or efficiency maxing, I guess, is that in your Marshall software, one of the things you can do is you can just drop a bunch of questions and targets and all your stuff into here, and then do export to Excel. And I don't know how you guys use that currently, if you do use it, but I think that that's a pretty nice shortcut if you can apply like the stylistic rules that you have in here to converting those Excel sheets to a PowerPoint. Now, I don't have, like, I had this working whenever I showed Rich just as a demo proof of concept thing a month or so ago. But now I actually have to like rebuild this in to work correctly. But one of the things that I was doing was uh, duh, 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 duh. I think it was this one. Let's take a look. Whereas if you just export that Excel data and then drop it in here, we can build a PowerPoint that looks, a little bit richer than just like the standard well, it certainly looks richer than an Excel sheet. So let's take a look and see if this was one of them. Yeah, no, so this isn't, I mean, it's not impressive or anything, but it follows the general palette of the theme, and it's just all bar charts, you know. But that was the point, was is that I can just take a raw Excel export from my Marshall software, run it through here, and we can style it however we want to produce an actual PowerPoint. In that case, um, I do think we have uh, a fast workflow of like, whether it's you guys shortcutting some of the time to build a presentation, or like AEs at the station. It's like, hey, can you just export this to Excel and dump it in here, and then you have something, you know, with charts and text boxes or whatever. Um, Whatever. All right, so that's this stuff. Now, I just started working on this on Friday, so I only have like half of it. And that is sort of, it's, I don't want to call it an editing suite because it certainly isn't. It's more of just like a preview and a spot reversion tool. And I haven't done any of the reversion part. It's literally only preview right now. And this is, I want to warn you. No, it's not a it's not like a high fidelity preview. We're not rendering the actual PowerPoint slides. What we're doing is just like giving you enough similarity so that it's like, okay, this is kind of what the slide looks like from way far back. I know that there is a bar chart and it's here and whatever, and this is what it looks like. So let's see here. We'll do it with this one. And it'll take a second to render all the slides and everything. But this pops over, and this will give you like a review palette. And once it comes up here, I'll tell you like what my vision is for adding some actual functionality into this, as opposed to just looking at it. Now, because I didn't change like the special pages, you know, like the title sheet, the about page, the methodology. I didn't change any of that stuff, so I just render those as essentially screenshots of the presentation. Like whenever it's pulling out all the JSON data, it generates a screenshot of slide 1, 2, 3 and the last one or whatever. So like what we have here is like one of the things, we pulled out this image here, which in a lot of cases is fine whenever you're centering the data. And also see how we're just like constructing an image from the PowerPoint data. So like I don't need like all the series labels on these bars. It's not 100% representative of what's in PowerPoint, but it's like I can look at this slide 7. I can select it. I can see that like this is basically what it looks like. So if there's a big hole, you know, like in this one where there's a big hole over here where there used to be a picture, what I'll do is like this empty space that we have here, and I have a lot of empty space because I've got this on a big monitor. If you're, you know, on, you know, a more reasonable size, this is like, you know, equal to or 2/3 the size of the slide preview. But what we can do is show like, here I have like the removed items. Instead of having this on a separate tab, we would just show like, here's what the slide was before. Here's the item that was removed, and here's where it existed on the page before. And then you can just like put it back. You know, like this slide looks dumb with this big empty window here. So let's just put that one back. We don't have to put all the clip art back. We don't have to put all the but on this slide, yeah, we got to put something in there. Or, you know, this was something Rich told me, was that like some of the clients have preferred color schemes for like charts and stuff. Like, I don't know, Hearst has its own color palette that they want their charts to adhere to. So what we could do is like, even not before you get to this point, is if you're retheming it, it's like, I want this to look this way, except for the fact that we need to use this color profile for the client, or some aesthetic, you know, presets essentially, that, okay, we can rewrite all these parts, but we have to keep this the same. We'll do that. Similarly, like on this one, if we actually wanted these to not be blue, if we wanted them to be the original like brick red, maybe revert color, you know, to this part. And then then you're kind of like customizing little bits and pieces here. But I don't want to, I'm not going to rebuild PowerPoint, because I mean, this is just a PowerPoint file. I mean, this isn't, but what you download is, if if there's just one little thing that you want to change or edit, or you're going to review the presentation, you can just open it in PowerPoint. You can change things however you want. But if you're just like, this gets me 99% of the way there, except I want, on my text box pages, I want my picture back there, or like whenever I'm leading into a category or something like that, I do want an image there. You can put that stuff back because will have a log of what was taken out, what was changed. You can revert those things. But like, I'm not going to have like where it's like, oh, I want this box to be green and I want this. We're not going to get into the granular stuff there. You can just use PowerPoint for that. But that's something I'm going to work on, is this like reversion model here. And I've already got like, on every slide that you select, we can see like what was removed. Picture 2 was taken off of this slide, so we can certainly stick them back in there. Now, this is the readily apparent functionality, the utility, the thing where like anybody can look at this and be like, oh, I know what that's for. Stick a PowerPoint presentation in there, make it look different, right? Where we can go with this, for added complexity and added utility, is, since if we are able to map all of the data that's in a PowerPoint presentation and match it to a database, then I believe, it's like it's a hypothesis, I'm pretty sure we can do this, is that we can reconstruct, because we have the whole database schema in XML, we can reconstruct the SQL queries that generated that data to begin with. So if I know I have the Syracuse 2024 database and I have this presentation that came out of there, then using the data that's in the presentation, I can reconstruct the queries that pull that matching data from the database. And if you can do that for the same database, then you can do that for the next year. So let's say 2024, you do furniture presentation, 40 slides, whatever, and then 2025 rolls around and it's time to do mostly the same presentation. Obviously, there'll be changes. Maybe you added reason why shop furniture as opposed to not having it in the prior year, but it's like most of the same work. If you take that presentation from the previous year, you generate the SQL file, and then apply it to the new database, then it's like, okay, here, 87% of your slides, or of your reports in MMS can come out automatically, because we know the queries that you used to generate this last year, so we'll do it in the same way this year. And if there's stuff missing, we'll let you know, like, hey, you don't have this question, or you can't sort it this way because these responses don't exist, or whatever. But the fact is that you can very quickly, if you have an old presentation, recreate it with all of the all of the up-to-date information that you have, and then just fill in the gaps if you have missing questions or whatever. And then that would obviously translate to, if an AE has the presentation from last year, be like, hey, just drop it in here. There you go. And just skip the questions that we don't have this year, or something like that. Like, you can get them there. It could be used as a trading aid or whatever. Basically, the PowerPoint file is a deterministic artifact that comes out of a database, and therefore we can retrace our steps to get there, to get back where we started from. And that's one of the bigger ideas. So like, once I have like all this stuff done, then we work on that. And what I think we'll do here, I'm going to accompany this with an email that just says, here, real quick, 1, 2, 3 questions. What do you think? And then maybe we can collaborate on getting a few of these built, see what they look like, see what kind of, so I do want to look into, like, I was thinking like adding an avant-garde, like get rid of this duplication down here, and having one that like is experimental for like, what can we actually programmatically do with transitions and animations and like dynamism and different chart types, like the bubble charts, and I don't know what they're all called. I mean, I have a whole diagram of PowerPoint. I just haven't memorized it. But like, things that might be interesting to explore, and at least build them out, even if nobody uses them, because then it's like, okay, now I know how to do this. What if we plug this in to other places. So that's sort of the roadmap that I'm working with. So this is that. Thank you for your time. Talk to you all soon.